So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise.
I wrote it, you know what I'm saying? I paid it for the beat. I paid you for loaning me the money, you know what I'm saying? I paid you back your money. Now we splitting because you loaned me the money. Yeah. But you own my I don't owe you a thing. Why is you holding on to my yeah. And that's standard.
A few of us will do well. The majority will not.
$25,000 signing bonus, advance, and 2 cents off every game we sell.
They know what they're doing.
$50 game. You giving me 2 cents? Let me think about that for a minute.
DMX rolled into a Toronto club thinking it was just another night to chill until his eyes locked on Prince. What went down next? DMX said it felt like getting a life lesson straight from your own granddad, and not the sweet kind either. Now, if you really know DMX, you know this was a man who, in his own words, could have made sure there was no Ja Rule if he wanted to. So what on earth did Prince hit him with that actually left the dog speechless? Let's rewind. Chapter 1. From Yonkers grit to global spotlight. Born Earl Simmons on December 18, 1970 in Mount Vernon, New York, but raised in Yonkers, DMX came up hard. His mom, Annette Simmons, was a single parent, and their home life was chaos. DMX grew up surrounded by shouting, blows, and the cold streets. By just 7 years old, he was already bouncing in and out of group homes, carrying scars that no kid should have to wear. Even back then, X had a vibe you couldn't fake. He didn't click with people the way he did with stray dogs. Those were his true crew, loyal and wild like him. That bond became part of who he was, inspiring the name DMX, short for Dark Man X. And trust, that name wasn't just for show. His first arrest, 1986, for stealing a dog. He was barely a teen when he landed 2 years in juvie. Inside, DMX was grinding, throwing punches in the boxing ring, spitting bars, and building a rep in Yonkers freestyle battles. His energy was unmatched, rapping like a man possessed, sometimes even with his hands cuffed behind his back at juvenile centers. Out in the parks after dark, he'd battle MCs with verses that hit like uppercuts. This wasn't just rap for him, it was therapy, a way to spit out the pain burning inside. But X's life wasn't just about music. The streets had him locked in deep. Jermaine Dupri once told a story that showed exactly how raw X could get. Back when Dupri was cooking up his album Life in 1472, he set up a studio session with DMX and even invited a journalist, thought to be from The Source, to witness the magic. Big mistake for the writer to show up first. Minutes later, DMX rolled in with his 2 dogs, eyes sharp.
What was it like being around DMX?
DMX was dangerous, man. Like, not dangerous, but he's like, when you around him, he's like, you don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Very unpredictable.
Before Dupri even arrived, the reporter was rattled. X walked right up, grilling him about who he was and what he had on him. No gun, no blade, just pure presence that could freeze a room. DMX didn't need fists or firearms, just his presence and those 2 loyal beasts at his side. He stared the reporter down, dogs standing like silent soldiers, and growled for him to run everything. No hesitation. The man handed it all over. No punches, no shots, just X, his voice, and that unshakable energy that could break a man without touching him. Now that you see exactly who DMX was in that era, it's time to shift to the other titan in this story, Prince. Chapter 2, Prince, the Untouchable. The world knew Prince for his music, his mystery, and that hypnotic otherworldly style. His outfits alone could make you question if he was even from this planet. But behind the glitter, he was razor sharp, disciplined, and unshakably tough. Prince wasn't just an artist, he was the industry, a performer, a mentor, a visionary, and a fierce fighter for ownership and control over his craft. By the time he passed, he had dropped 39 albums in 40 years, nearly one every single year. And here's the mind blower. It said he wrote between 500 and 1,000 songs, with countless tracks still locked away in his legendary vault. Prince didn't just make music. He lived in the studio, sometimes crafting an entire album in a week, or laying down vocals, instruments, and mixing all in a single day. For Prince, it wasn't just about speed, it was about capturing lightning in a bottle. One studio engineer swore he'd lock in for 40 hours straight, chasing that raw emotion in a track. He'd often keep the first or second take, not because it was flawless, but because it was real, alive, and impossible to recreate. Prince had been about ownership from day one. He signed with Warner Brothers as a teenager, and by 1978, he dropped his debut album at just 20 years old. But this wasn't some label-controlled project. Oh no. He wrote it, produced it, arranged it, played every instrument, sang every note, and even engineered it himself. When Warner tried to stick an executive producer on him, Prince shut it down cold. Full control or nothing, and he got it. That iron will become his signature. His big explosion came in 1984 with Purple Rain, both the film and the album, blasting him into global superstardom. Tracks like When Doves Cry, Let's Go Crazy, and the legendary Purple Rain proved he wasn't just different. He was untouchable, mixing punk, rock, pop, and soul. He followed zero rules but his own. And that style, just as fearless as his sound, Prince blurred every line, gender, fashion, expectations, all of it. He had over 3,000 custom high heels made by Andre No. 1, often in rich shades of purple. And these weren't just for show. They had reinforced soles, built for his wild, high-energy performances. Forget fancy 3D scanning. Prince wanted handmade, authentic, and straight from the heart. At Paisley Park, his outfits came from in-house designers working off his late-night sketches, lace, sequins, bold cuts, raw stitching, each piece a statement, each one him. Prince wore his style like walking art. But behind all that glam, a war was brewing with his label. By the late 80s and early 90s, his patience with Warner Brothers was gone. Their one album per year rule, that was a cage for a man who could drop songs every single day. So he flipped the script. In 1985, he launched Paisley Park Records, and by 1993, the fight turned fierce. Prince changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol and started appearing with the word slave painted across his face, not for shock value, but as a full-on protest. For him, this wasn't just business, this was personal. If you don't own your masters, your master owns you. By 1996, after turning in the last albums under his Warner contract, Prince declared emancipation, finally free. His new setup let him drop music on his terms, including direct-to-fan platforms like the NPG Music Club and Lotus Flow 3R. And he didn't just release songs, he built them from the ground up. On many albums, Prince composed, arranged, produced, engineered, and played every single instrument himself. From Dirty Mind to his self-titled album, he was a one-man band, blending rock, funk, pop, jazz, and electronica, sometimes all in the same track. From Sign of the Times to Love Sexy, he kept evolving, unstoppable and untamed, with a release schedule no one in the game could match. Prince was a one-man orchestra, layering dozens of instruments himself, track after track, refusing to let outsiders shape his sound. When Warner execs tried meddling with his debut, he flat out threw them out, demanding full creative control. And he never stayed quiet about it either. Every chance he got, Prince spoke on how dirty the music game really was. In his words, as long as you signed a contract, you're only getting the scraps while somebody else eats the feast. Chapter 3, DMX and Prince. Some moments in life don't need fireworks to change you. Just one person, one sentence, one truth that hits so deep it makes you rethink everything. For DMX, that person was Prince. And it wasn't just X. Even comedian Cat Williams once said Prince was someone he truly looked up to. But DMX, his presence was anything but soft. So picture this. X is in Toronto, fresh off filming scenes for Exit Wounds. He's in his zone, music bumping, energy thick in the air. When the room shifts, the crowd parts, and in walks him. Not just anybody, Prince. Small in stature, but dressed like he owned every soul in the room. Heels clicking, lace shirt catching the lights, velvet suit draped like royalty. He had that aura, part rock god, part spirit, untouchable to most, but about to get real with one of hip-hop's fiercest.
Person that blew me away the most? Prince.
See, I was gonna ask you if you had a Prince story.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Get back to her.
Yo,
Excuse me, what did you just say, sir?
Prince.
Okay, all right. Oh,
By far, that's like
what happened?
when I'm in Toronto filming Exit Wounds. And, you know, we would go out at night, and I'm still like, I'm a rap artist, you know what I'm saying? So I'm on my rap shit, so, you know, whatever filming we do, there's always an afterwards. Yo, what we doing afterwards? There's always a, what are we doing afterwards? Yeah. Even though I couldn't really afford to do that, you know, I had to be back in the set at a certain time, but we put that shit later. What we doing tonight, nigga? You know what we doing tonight, nigga? At the clubs, you know what I mean? And Toronto got so many beautiful women. Oh my God. It was just like, is this real? Like, you know. And we had a club. And Prince comes in with this big security guard. We go inside, whatever. He's like,
He pointed at you and said like,
yeah. Can't just say that, X.
Yeah.
He OG.
Yeah.
Cell block.
So,
8.
you know, growing up, you know, especially
Don't tell me
niggas.
Prince is a gangster. Don't tell me Prince is like, what's up, nigga?
Growing up in the hood.
it seems like Prince is a G.
Every story we got is
Growing up in the hood,
good.
everybody
Love Prince.
who didn't know Prince, but would kind of make fun of the heels
And the
ass
out.
The ass out,
The ass
shit
out,
like that.
yeah.
Like, yo, this nigga, you Prince type nigga?
What?
We call pretty niggas that. Oh, you Prince type nigga? To meet this nigga?
X, be careful what you about to say.
Yo.
Was Prince gangster?
Prince gangster.
Prince was a mix of magic and mystery, the kind of man people struggled to label. Was he shy, arrogant, a flat-out genius? Truth was, he was all of it at once. His image had so many layers that people didn't know where the act ended and the real man began. Some even joked about him. DMX admitted folks would clown the heels, the glitter, the soft-spoken energy. They'd call him Prince Gangsta in jest, wondering how someone in lace and platforms could possibly be tough. That's why what happened next flipped DMX's whole perception. That night, Prince wasn't the dainty image people thought they knew. Not to X, not at all. He came in quiet, but the energy hit like a wave. Without saying much, he motioned for DMX to come over. X did. In a calm but commanding voice, Prince told security to clear space, and they did. Half the club shifted, tables moved, people backed up without a single argument. For over an hour, it was just the two of them. No cameras, no flexing, just words. And that's what rattled DMX the most. He'd been around the hardest of the hard. Jay-Z, Tupac, even tied to dangerous crews like the Latin Kings. But this was different. Prince didn't need threats or muscle. His control came from wisdom, confidence, and an aura that made even a street general stop and listen. They didn't waste time on small talk. No industry gossip, no fame fluff, no chasing the spotlight. This was real talk, ownership, purpose, what life really means when you strip away all the noise. And in that moment, every joke, every stereotype about Prince vanished for DMX.
What was Prince's
So first of all, he used the deep voice, so he told me like, come here, brother. He used the deep voice. He got the high voice in it. He worked, come here, brother. And he had a security, like one of these tables, like push it up. You know what I'm saying? And we sit over here and like he pretty much backed half the club up with the table and gave us our space.
Wow.
And talked to me for about maybe an hour in the club. While music is playing. About owning your masters. He explained how gave him the symbol. And he said, yo,
all about.
I was fucked up. I was fucked up for a while behind that.
That's ill, man.
This is real. Listen, by the way, we love Prince because of that. But then Nas sat here and Nas said that he wanted to do it. Like I said, Nas, anybody ever fronted on you doing a song that you want to do a song with? And they said no. And he said, nah, no one ever said that. Then he stopped himself. He said, yes, I'm lying. Or he didn't say he's lying. He said, I missed somebody. And I said, who? He said, Prince.
Prince didn't just earn X's respect that night, he flipped the meaning of it. Even years later, you can hear it in DMX's voice. He was still moved. And when a man like X, who's battled the streets, owned the stage, and survived storms most can't imagine, says someone changed the way he sees the world, you stop and pay attention. That night in a Toronto club, two legends met. No egos, no beef, no games, just honesty and something deeper. So what exactly happened when these worlds collided? What did Prince say? From the way DMX tells it, he was doing most of the listening, and that says it all. Chapter 4, Masters. One of the biggest truths they unpacked that night, masters. And not the kind you win in sports, the kind that decides who truly owns your music. In plain terms, the master recording is the original, highest quality version of a song or album. Every single copy, whether it's streaming on Spotify, spinning on vinyl, or playing in a quick TikTok clip, traces back to that one source. Here's what Prince drilled into DMX that night. Whoever owns the master, owns the music. Simple as that. Think of it like land. If you own the land, you call the shots. Rent it out, sell it, build on it, or let it sit. But if somebody else owns it, they make the rules, and you're just living there on borrowed ground. In the music game, most artists, especially in the early grind, sign deals that hand the masters over to the label. That means the artist loses all control over where their songs get used, how much they're licensed for, or even if they ever get re-released. And when the money flows in, the label eats first, leaving the artist with crumbs. You're famous, but you're not free. Prince wasn't having it. That was his sermon for anyone willing to listen. And to really feel why it hit DMX so hard, you have to know Prince's fight. In the 90s, he did something almost no one dared. He went to war with Warner Brothers over his masters. By then, Prince was one of the biggest names on the planet. Yet, he didn't own his own work. He wrote it, played it, produced it, lived it. But legally, it belonged to someone else. Prince felt that was robbery, plain and simple. So he pushed back hard when Warner refused to hand him control. Prince pulled the ultimate power move. He dropped his own name and replaced it with an unpronounceable symbol, a straight-up icon with no sound. And if that wasn't enough, he started performing with the word slave written boldly across his face. On stage, in interviews everywhere, he refused to answer to Prince, demanding people call him the artist formerly known as Prince. The industry thought he'd lost it. Crazy, eccentric, over the top. But the truth? He was dead serious. Prince was waging war against the system that had trapped him and countless other artists. He called the music business exactly what it was, a modern-day plantation. And he wasn't making noise for attention. He was making a statement that couldn't be ignored. If you don't own your masters, you don't own your music. And if you don't own your music, you don't own your legacy. Prince didn't just talk. He moved different. He started releasing music independently, building his own distribution network, even bundling albums directly with concert tickets. This was before streaming, before social media. Prince saw the power of going straight to the fans before anyone else did. Eventually, he clawed back his masters. But even bigger than that, he set a standard, showing artists they could say no, that they could fight back. His interviews, his protests, the slave across his face, it all proved he wasn't scared to speak the truth nobody wanted to hear. And as time went on, his fight wasn't just against bad contracts, it was against the entire machine. Prince didn't just fight the system, he started calling out the people feeding it. And one name that came up more than once, Sean Diddy Combs. Now, Prince wasn't hating on Diddy's fame or success, he actually respected the hustle and vision. But what rubbed him raw were the quiet alliances, the business ties, and the behind-closed-doors partnerships that, in Prince's eyes, kept the old industry machine running. He felt these moves were reinforcing the same chains he had spent decades trying to break. To Prince, the battle had shifted. It wasn't just about ownership anymore, it was about influence. Who had it, how they used it, and whether that power was lifting artists up or keeping them trapped in the same cycle, just with shinier handcuffs. What also worried him? The way labels and execs didn't care about the message or the values in the music, only the profit. To them, it wasn't about culture, it was about cash, no matter what was being pushed into the world. Chapter 5. Did DMX learn? The big question. Did DMX take Prince's advice and fight for his masters? Did that night spark a full turnaround? Sadly, no fairy tale ending here. As powerful as that moment was, it didn't instantly rewrite DMX's career path. Not because he didn't believe in it, but by that point, the game had already wrapped him in a web of contracts, lawsuits, addiction battles, and bad deals made before he had the power to fight back. DMX came into the game fast and hard, and in less than 3 years, DMX came in like a storm, dropping 5 multi-platinum albums back-to-back, a record most rappers still haven't touched. To the world, it looked like nothing but wins. Sold-out tours, chart toppers, street anthems blasting from every corner. But behind the curtain, the money wasn't matching the success. Why? Because DMX didn't own his masters. His biggest hits, Rough Riders Anthem, Slippin', Party Up, all sat in the label's vault. And once those masters are gone in your early contracts, getting them back is a brutal, expensive, and often impossible fight. Even after that game-changing talk with Prince, X didn't have the legal firepower or deep pockets to undo the deal signed when he was still hungry and unprotected. And the truth? The industry isn't built to let artists snatch their power back, especially when they're already wrestling with personal demons. By 2013, the storm caught up. DMX filed for bankruptcy. Court records showed he had about $50,000 in assets and over $1 million in debt. It's a gut punch, considering his music had generated millions, just not for him. He was buried under child support, legal fees, and taxes. On top of that, his legal history made booking shows harder, cutting off one of the few ways he could bring in serious money. Some reports even claimed he didn't have full access to his own royalties. And here's the killer. When you don't own your masters, your survival depends on live shows and touring. But when that's blocked, whether by addiction, prison time, or simply aging out of the touring circuit, the financial floor caves in. It leaves you wondering, what if DMX had gotten his masters? DMX was never broken the way tabloids painted him, but his spirit took hits. He said it more than once. Money was never the goal. He didn't rap to get rich. He rapped to bleed on the track, to cry out, to make sense of the pain. But the industry he stepped into was about money first. And when the check stopped, so did the world's attention. Although there's no confirmed proof DMX ever owned his masters before his passing in 2021, most of his catalog stayed locked under Def Jam and Rough Riders. Rumors swirled that maybe his estate would fight to reclaim them, but nothing official has surfaced. And that's the real heartbreak. Not just that he left this world too soon, but that a man who poured his soul into every track never truly owned the art he created, even after that life-changing talk with Prince. It's like painting a masterpiece, then being told you can never hang it in your own home. Still, something shifted after that night. DMX started speaking more openly about the business of music. He warned young artists not to sign without reading every word. He moved with more awareness. And even if he couldn't rewrite his own deals, he planted seeds so the next generation wouldn't fall into the same trap. That's what made Prince's message timeless. It wasn't just for DMX. It was for every artist standing now and every kid dreaming of the mic, thinking a record deal is the final goal. Prince made DMX look inward, and DMX in turn pushed others to be more than just voices on wax. He wanted them to own their voices. In the end, the story of DMX and Prince isn't just about music. It's about legacy, about protecting your name, your art, and your worth in a world ready to buy and sell you like a product. Prince showed DMX that being a gangster isn't just about surviving the streets. It's about surviving the industry. DMX may not have lived to own it all, but he lived long enough to understand. And sometimes that shift in mindset, that awakening, is the real win. If this story hit you, drop a comment, hit that like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next video.